first of all, I'd like to welcome everybody and to thank you all for taking the time to be with us today for our virtual open house. My name is Heather Kidd, and I am the Director of Enrollment Management, as well as the House Director for our Girls Residence, Victoria Manor. So for our open house today, you'll be hearing from our head of school, Mr. Muska, followed by a Q&A with two of our current students and one of our current parents. We've also had a number of Mexican families register for this open house as we just returned from a trip to Mexico. So we've asked David Alvarez, one of our current Mexican students, to join us online in case we might need him for helping us with a bit of translation. So thank you. Just a few housekeeping items. I did want to mention that this is being recorded, as you know. My colleagues Tracy Kolp and Miss Sarah Harvey are also helping out and manning our chat line today, which is located at the bottom of your screen. So I'm sure you've already visited our website at some point and have likely already seen our virtual video. So we're not going to show that this morning. Really, we wanted you to hear firsthand from our students and from our parents on their experiences here in the Albert family. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our head of school, Mr. Muska.
Well, good morning, Heather. Thank you very much for that. And good morning, everyone. We're really very excited that you were able to join us this morning. It's a really exciting time of the year for us because, of course, we're focused on finishing this year and finishing this year strong. We have so many events and activities that typically end a school year that we're looking to do, but we also have our mind turned to next year and planning for next year and staffing and having students in our school. And so we're happy that you're on this call to learn more about our school. Albert.College is Canada's oldest day and boarding school, co-ed day and boarding school. We're 164 years old. So that means we've been educating international and local day students for well over a century. Albert.College is a relatively small school. From grades 7 through 12, we have just shy of 200 students, and it's roughly 50-50. So 50% of our students are international boarding students from approximately 15 countries around the world. The other 50% are local day students from Belleville, Kingston, and the surrounding areas. For those of you who are not really familiar with the geography of Canada, Belleville, where Albert is located, is right in the central part of the eastern portion of the province of Ontario. And it makes us unique from a geographical perspective compared to most of the schools in Ontario, most of the private schools in Ontario, which are offered in larger metropolitan centers. So when you think of the great Canadian outdoors, that really is literally at our doorstep. And so the opportunity for students for outdoor adventure, whether that's dog sledding, hiking, canoeing, camping. We start the school year with a 3-day camping trip for all students. I mean, even our campus is really a 5-minute walk from the shores of Lake Ontario. So that idea of the great Canadian outdoors is as I said, what Belleville has to offer. But we're not so isolated and rural. I mean, Belleville's a small city, 50,000 people. But we're very close to the larger metropolitan centers. So we're a 2-hour drive to our west is Toronto, the largest city in our country. 2.5 hours to the east is our capital, Ottawa. We're 3 hours from Montreal, and so the opportunities for the cultural experience of Canada is really just a 2 or 3 hour bus ride away, and students are able to have those experiences as well. Another advantage to being a smaller school, which really came to the front during COVID, really had to do with our COVID safety and our rates of contact at the school. Certainly all schools across the country, across the world have been impacted by COVID, but less so here at Albert.College. And it's because we're a smaller school, so just less chance for the virus to spread. But Belleville is a smaller center, and so we did not see the numbers that were happening in larger urban areas. So that was also an advantage for us. The other advantage of it being a small school, and I've worked in large schools, I've worked in small schools, and what I like about small schools is the sense of camaraderie. Students and teachers really get to know one another very well. They can't help but get to know one another very well by virtue of our size. And so teachers get to know the students well, not just the students in their class, but all the students in the school. The students interact with each other, even across grades, far more so than I'm used to at larger schools. So typically in a larger high school, you didn't often see students in grade 12, for example, socializing with students outside of their grade. At Albert, that's different. And the reason why that happens, I think, is because we're small, and for things to function like the soccer team or the band, students from different grades are all interacting with one another on these teams and in these activities. And so they can't help but form these really strong bonds. And you really do notice it when you come into the building. It's great that you're on this virtual call. It's unfortunate you can't come in person, because I often hear after an in-person visit, people saying we felt it as soon as we walked in the building, this sense of friendship and camaraderie and community. It really is almost tangible, and so that's really a highlight of Albert.College. At Albert.College, we follow the Ontario curriculum. So that means students graduate with an OSSD, the Ontario Secondary School Diploma. And of course, this is their passport to universities in Canada, but also around the world. But we do more than just the Ontario curriculum. Of course, we add on to that, and we call that, as you've seen on our website, I'm sure, our 5 A's. And this is a focus on, we feel, making students well-rounded. So the 5 A's are academics, and academics, of course, is of primary importance. We make sure students are prepared for the next stage of their educational journey. But they also need exposure to and experiences in these other areas: arts, athletics, active citizenship, and adventure. And so it really is a major focus of our curriculum that students are experienced in all of these areas. The last thing I'll talk about in terms of the advantage of Albert.College is that it really does provide a wonderful opportunity for students to learn from others that are different than they are. You know, what better way to prepare students for the global village that awaits them than having experiences now in high school, working elbow to elbow with someone who comes from a completely different country, speaks a different language, and has just a different background, and all working together for improvement. So that really sets the tone of what Albert.College is like. So I'll leave it there. I'm sure you want to hear from the parents and the students, but again, I want to thank you for taking the time to join us this morning, and I look forward to meeting some of you in person. Back to you, Heather.
Thank you, Mr. Muska. So right now it is my pleasure to introduce our panelists for this morning. As a university prep school, we really do want to focus on some of the benefits of attending our small family school, as well as hear the perspective from our current members of our AC family. So Glenda Hollett, she is a current parent joining us here locally in Belleville. Her daughter Maggie is currently in grade 11 as a day student, and Maggie's sister Sophie will be joining us in grade 10 this year. And both Maggie and Sophie joined us in our junior school way back, left for a little while to go to the public system, and then came back with us for their high school years. And Glenda will tell you a little bit more about that shortly. Lexia Momo, she is our youngest boarder in residence, Victoria Manor, which is our girls' residence. And she joined us in grade 4 in our junior school as a day student, and now is living with us as a 7-day boarding student in Victoria Manor, and we're so happy to have her there with us. Ben Weinstein, he's one of our current day students in grade 9 this year, and his brother Aaron is also with us in grade 11. So both Ben and his brother joined us in our junior school, I believe in grades 4 and 6. Hopefully I have that right. So Glenda, let's start with you, and first of all, welcome. Your 2 daughters joined us, as I said, when they were in the AC Junior School. Then after a while, they returned to the public school, and now they've ended up re-enrolling or will be re-enrolled here in their high school years. So can you talk a little bit about their journey and what actually brought them back to Albert.College?
Sure. Thank you. Thank you very much for the invitation and the wonderful introduction. I'm very happy to be here this morning and to talk about this school, because it's been a wonderful element for our family, and it's something that I certainly really enjoy speaking to other parents about. I actually have we have 3 daughters, and 3 of my daughters went to Albert in the elementary school. So now my oldest is in university, and I have Maggie and Sophie returning together to Albert for the first time in a couple of years. So they had gone to elementary school together, all of my girls, and we really enjoyed the atmosphere that Albert provided, the sense of community, not only in the academics, but the social part and the 5 A's that they talk about, which really builds that sense of community. At the time, my girls wanted to try something different. Several years ago, they had only experienced Albert Sophie had only experience from preschool, Albert preschool. So we did a family adventure and tried some different options. And the big reason for us returning to Albert was because of those 5As and that sense of community. It's not something that we have found in the public system. The combination of both academics, athletics, and community is something that's not found in the public system. At least we hadn't found it. And that was the reason for us returning and bringing our girls back to Albert. Is that sense of community. And it's certainly, as Mr. Muskow had talked about earlier, it's a big facility, but a small school. And it has that sense of community that I think is very important for, development for both kids and adolescents. So that was our big reason for turning. I don't know if anybody has any specific questions that they would like to ask me about that.
I think what we'll do is we're going to answer questions at the end. We have some
Okay.
people typing in some questions, so we thought we'd save the
Great.
questions until the end. But I know that we are all very and extremely happy to have the Hollett family back with us. So welcome back.
Thank you very much.
Now, Alexia, next to you, why don't you, before we start, just tell us a little bit about yourself and how long you've been at Albert, where you're from, etc.
Okay, so as you know, my name is Lexia. This is my 4th year here at Albert, but it's my first year boarding. So I did grades 4, 5, and 6 in the junior school, and then this year I started boarding here at Albert. I'm born in Montreal, but my family, we've lived in Geneva, in Switzerland, and we're also based in Cameroon in Central Africa. So I've traveled a lot and been to a lot of places.
You certainly have. So your first question for you, Lexia, as this is your first year in boarding, what do you enjoy most about boarding life?
Definitely the people here, because I mentioned I traveled a lot, but from being here, I've met so many more people from different places, and I've gotten to learn more about certain cultures and everything, things I didn't know before. And I also enjoy how many activities are planned for us. Each weekend we'll have let's say 2 or 3 activities planned, and for example, last weekend we went rock climbing, which is my first time. That was really fun. Or we would do something more local, go to a coffee shop all together, or even go shopping in Kingston, and things like that. The activities range, and so it fills up your weekend, and it's just you get to try new things and meet new people.
Perfect. We try to keep you busy, don't we?
Yeah.
All right, Ben, over to you. Why don't you first tell us a little bit about yourself and how long you've been here at Albert?
So I am Ben Weinstein. I came here in grade 4 from originally doing school in Detroit, Michigan, in the United States. And I moved to Ontario when I was about 8. And I was a bit worried about schooling at the start, because my school previously, there was about 100 people in my grade. And I was worried about how really getting to meet people here. And just again, the small community at Albert really did help that.
Perfect. Perfect. So what do you enjoy most about being an Albert.College student now that you're an old pro at it?
The greatest thing I enjoy would probably just be having the opportunity to meet people from just around the world and form friendships with everywhere. And also you get to learn a lot about their cultures internationally through friendships, and sometimes even presentations in chapel, which is in the first period of the day. We have something called chapel. And we've had a presentation on Chinese New Year and other holidays, and also just some countries, for example, Bermuda. And you also get to be exposed to just a lot of new activities, such as in the sports semester, or there's 3 sports semesters for the year, and there's a lot of different choices in each, This current semester, the third one, I'm right now doing ultimate frisbee, but there's also track and field and even golf, which there's a lot of athletic opportunities if you're interested in that. And there also is a house league system, which you're assigned to one of four houses, and you get to compete for points to see who would have the most points at the end of the year, and through different activities such as like sports again, and even food drives or active citizenship activities. And also just general, the staff and students are just very supportive, which just from the small community, it just makes it very comfortable and just easy to know to talk to people.
Good. I think that for a lot of people is the thing that makes them the most nervous is, will I fit in and will I make friends, right? Okay, Glenda, over to you again. What, to the best of your knowledge, would you say most differentiates Albert from other schools?
A lot of the things that Ben and Lexia had talked about, I think, are really important points. Certainly, the athletics is something that we found wasn't particularly predominant in the public system. There's very few opportunities. Just a small number of students will be picked, with a very large number of students wanting to participate. So definitely the athletics is not the same caliber. The small class sizes, my girls were in classes which had 30 plus kids in the class. Really challenging, particularly doing some, very challenging high school courses like functions, things like that. So that was a real challenge for them. So the individual attention from the teachers, plus the athletics and the opportunities to be involved in the community, those again are limited in the public system. And I found that has those are really predominant in Albert, and it connects your kids into the community of Albert, but also into the larger community that they live in. The opportunity, like Ben and Lexa have talked about, to meet people from different cultures and different parts of the world. Belleville is a wonderful small community, and it's great to have diversity. And that is certainly one of the things that we really appreciate at Albert as well.
Great, thank you. Alexia, what kind of, back to a residence question, what kind of support do you receive in residence?
So the rest staff and the students at the manor are like both so incredibly like kind and helpful. Like I joined a bit later on into boarding, and like I had like if I ever had any questions or needed help with anything, they like always like they will gladly help you if you're ever like feeling down or anything. Like there's just a great support system there, and just like anywhere you turn to somebody like that you can talk to. It's like kind of like your second family. Like the manor feels like that. Yeah.
Great, like having 40 sisters.
Yeah.
Like to say I have 40 daughters. So Ben, we've talked quite extensively about our 5As because that really is what Albert.College is. And as we've said, our students are all really involved in those 5As. So can you tell us a bit about your favorite A or A's?
I'd have to say probably my favorite A would have to be adventure, as it's just a great way to also experience just new things with the school, and also just have a experience to either meet new people or strengthen the bonds you have with the same people. And once you get to the middle school, grade 7, there's an orientation camp, which Mr. Muscat talked a bit about. And you go to Algonquin Park for 3 days to get to meet some of your new classmates and staff in a non-academic environment, which makes it it's a very fun experience. And you also get to get comfortable with your classmates who you will spend a year or two as part of an adventure trip as well, which is very fun. And also through the school, you get to do Duke of Ed program, which also falls under active citizenship as well. But there is an adventure trip out of that part that and there's 3 levels of the Duke of Ed, which have 3 different trips: bronze, silver, and gold. And currently I am working on my bronze Duke of Ed.
Great.
And earlier this year, for the bronze Duke of Ed trip, we got to go on a hiking trip, a 1 night, 2 day hiking trip in Algonquin Park, which also you got to hang out with the classmates. And it was also just a great experience to go out and in woods to see the Canadian wilderness.
Wonderful. I know the kids come back from those Duke of Ed trips and they're just re-energized when after they've been out in the wild for wilderness for a while. Perfect. Now, Glenda, how would you describe the values of the school and also the values of the family in our school community?
Well, I think based around the A's that Albert has, some of the core values come from that. So values about being an active citizen in your community, both your school community and the larger community. I think that's an important value, one that we really hold dear and want our kids to emulate. Also valuing personal success in terms of challenge yourself academically. I know Maggie's had an opportunity to do more challenging subjects, things that she was interested in. So she's in grade 11 and she really enjoys history, and she had the opportunity to do a grade 12 history course and also to work towards an AP exam for that. So she was really excited about that. So that value of, challenging yourself and having goals, that part was from those 5 A's. So there are opportunities like that. Also, I think socially, and to build on a little bit of what Ben said, is that connection between students. And as Mr. Musco said, people of different grades mingling together. So there is that collegialness that I haven't found, the girls haven't found in other schools. So that certainly is some of the core values that we appreciate.
Great, thank you. And Lexi, I'm going to ask you the same question about the A's. Out of our A's, which one is your favorite, or which ones?
My favorite is, I think I had to pick 2 for this one. It would be academics and active citizenship, because like they go hand in hand. For like academics wise, I'm sure you've heard of Albert.College's like high acceptance rate, but like it's more than that, because like I really enjoy that we have like at least like 2 active citizenship opportunities each month. Like we do like we donate a lot to different things, and we've done fundraisers like Terry Fox, Jump Up for Heart, and with each of these you get to learn more about like what the cause is for. I've learned more about the environment. I've learned more about Canada, the land we're on, the Indigenous, and like many more things. So it just like, you're not just like donating for like a random purpose. You've already learned about this in class, and like I'm happy to like be able to learn about this and like help towards a cause. Like even we've like so many things we've done.
Perfect. There are lots, and we try to keep everybody very busy and encourage people to try new things and venture out of their comfort zone a little bit. Ben, what advice would you give any student looking to enter Albert.College?
I just have to say, like, really just try not to be afraid or be nervous, even though that is a hard thing to tell yourself, that even I struggled with when I joined. But it's just because of the small community that we've sort of been echoing. Everyone's just very friendly and encouraging in like from my personal experiences. And also you also get assigned to an advisor group, which a staff member becomes your sort of academic advisor, who you also get to really meet that staff member, and you can also go to them if you have any concerns or questions, and also just to discuss academic goals in general. And they really help you a lot, especially in like choosing courses, or if you need to switch out of a course, and you just really get to know that staff member, which can help out a lot. And also we do have different guidance opportunities in the front office, and they can also help you really look for experiences to get to know people too if you feel nervous at all.
Okay, perfect. Glenda, what advice would you give to other parents looking at an Albert.College education?
I think that for us, it's a little different because we were familiar with Albert from the girls in elementary school. If I was someone new to the school, certainly connecting with the staff. Sarah, before we even started, I thank Sarah again and Heather again for all the help they had with us transitioning Sophie back to Albert. They've made wonderful opportunities for the girls to try. So Sophie's going to spend a day in the next couple of weeks so that she can feel comfortable when she comes back, or maybe a little bit more comfortable when she comes back in September. So certainly reaching out to the staff at Albert. If you do have any questions or if you're interested, because they're so responsive, they're so helpful, and there are so many opportunities to try and see what you think. Also, it's such a beautiful campus. It's a wonderful place. I love when I drop my kids off in the morning. I think, wow, what a beautiful place to go to school and to learn. So if you haven't had a chance to go, it's definitely worth the trip. So those definitely would be my recommendations.
Great, thank you. And it's great now, finally, we're able to start opening our campus up by appointment, and students can come and spend a day going to classes and eat lunch. And then when they come next year, they've already formed those friendships. So it's not like they're coming in with, knowing nobody. So that really does work in that transition, we find. So thank you. Lexia, I think you are our last question now. So what do you enjoy most about being a student at Albert?
I've mentioned this before, but like Albert truly is like a second kind of family, like a tight-knit community, because like from the staff to the students, it's always like support, and it's just like a warm atmosphere and everything. Like I said before, but like if you ever need help with anything homework wise or just like anything, talk to somebody, like there is like an abundance of like people that you can turn to and everything. So what I enjoy the most about being a student here is like the community, like tight knit community feeling, and like a second kind of family. Yeah.
And I think that's very comforting, especially, I mean, you're living fairly local, but for any of those families on the call who, are coming to us from a different country, I think that's very important for parents to have that sense of security for, knowing that we're taking good care of their kids, and we really do treat them as if they're our own. So I thank you, everybody. I think this was very informative. I love hearing from students and from parents. It's always best hand to hear those firsthand experiences. So before we close off and answer some questions, I just wanted to tell you briefly about our application process. And I think Tracy is going to share her screen here with us. If you want to go to the next slide, I mean, to apply online, everything is available online. We do ask for 2 years of academic report cards. There's a teacher evaluation form that can be downloaded from our website. Every student does write an entrance test or a language assessment if English is not your first language. Then we complete the entire process with either an interview in person or online. And as I said, we are now starting to be able to open up our facility and have students come in, so we can hopefully not be doing everything virtually from now on. Some of our tuition, obviously all of this information is on our website. Slightly different tuition fees for middle school and for the senior school. And these are all in Canadian dollars, obviously. Slightly different for Canadian students as well. And again, everything is posted on our website, because I know this is fairly quick going through. Okay, and I saw some questions in the chat about scholarships and tuition aid, and we certainly, as a small school, I'm proud that we are able to offer over $500,000 annually to deserving students. And we have two different forms of tuition aid. So one is tuition assistance is based on need, and then we have scholarships, and they're based on merit. We do offer the scholarships for students in grades 7 to 12, and we offer tuition assistance starting right from junior kindergarten. So if you are applying for tuition assistance, we use a third party, Apple Financial Services. And again, this information is on the website. But you complete your application. They then get back to us after they've done an evaluation. We present those to our financial aid committee and then try to distribute the money to as many different families as we can. Scholarships, again, there's a scholarship rubric that's on our website, and we do, basically it's in line with our 5As. So that is submitted with your application for admission. Post-secondary, this is obviously, we are an academic institution, and 100% of our graduating students go on to pursue post-secondary studies. And all of our students receive an average of 10 hours of personalized and individualized counseling from our guidance department. So that's very important when you are applying to post-secondary education. And again, we're more than happy. All of our enrollment team members are here on the call. So at any time, reach out to us. We're more than happy to do a personal one-on-one Zoom with you. Again, contact us, and we're happy to set up if you can come in and have a tour of the school, or if your child can come and spend a day. And sometimes we even have students come and spend overnight in residence, so they can really get a feel what that's like. So again, we're happy to have everybody here on this call. And I do know there have been some questions coming in. So Sarah, maybe you can help us with some of those questions. And I'm sure between Mr. Muska and myself, we can come up with the answers.
Sure, yeah. So the first question that came in was, again, just asking if we are having people on campus right now, which I think we've answered, that please reach out to us and make an appointment. We'd love to show you around. Or during the enrollment process, as Glenda mentioned, we'd love to arrange for your child or your student to come have a spend a day with us, which is a really nice thing to be able to offer again. So this is kind of a question for Heather. There's someone on the call with a grade 11 international student wondering if we provide busing to and from the airport. And then also wondering if students can stay with us during holidays and long weekends and things like that.
Sure. So absolutely, we try to provide personalized service wherever possible. So as I mentioned, I'm also a house director for our girls' residence. So parents would send the flight and itinerary directly to the house director. We will then make arrangements with a local company called Ontario Coachway that we work with, and they provide personalized door-to-door service. So they will pick your son or daughter up either from the girls' residence or here from the main school, deliver them right to the airport, to the terminal, and then coming back, we send them the driver's name and number. When the student lands, they text the driver, they meet up with the driver, and then they will drop them right back off to our front doors. So for parents, I think that's great to know that there's that safety line there as well. And what we do is, if we have a number of students from one country, say we have a number of students from Mexico or Bermuda traveling together, the parents will often try and get the students all on the same flight, so then they can travel together to and from the airport, and they're not waiting there by themselves. And the second part of that question was, can students stay here during breaks? During the pandemic, when borders were closed, we did end up remaining open. We had students here for Christmas that couldn't get home, unfortunately, so we did everything we could to make this as enjoyable for them as possible. But typically our residences do close down for those holidays. We have a two-week break at March break for spring break, and a 2-week break for Christmas. The students typically will go back to their home country for those 2 weeks, which is why we give them that extra bit of time for flying. For the shorter breaks, for example, we have Easter break coming up. The school does shut down, but we have what we call a Welcome Aborter program. And that's where so many of our day student families are very gracious, and they'll open up their home and invite some of our international students who can't obviously just fly home for 2 or 3 days. So they'll invite them to their house to, be able to experience, a traditional Easter dinner or a Thanksgiving turkey dinner. So it's really great that we do have our day families that also help us. And then we do work with a couple of different agencies that do offer homestay programs. And then other students will go and visit friends or relatives in Toronto or in some of those surrounding areas. And again, we make arrangements as the house parents. If a student's going to Toronto for a break weekend, the school charters buses that will pick the students up right from our front doors, and we drop them off at 2 different locations in Toronto, then offer the same service coming back. So we really do try to offer a personalized service as much as possible when we can. So hopefully that answers that question.
Thank you. These are sort of combining 2 questions. They're both sort of curriculum based. Do we offer any AP courses, and do we offer the IB curriculum at all?
Or I can tackle that one. So we spoke to you a lot this morning about the advantages of a small school. One of the advantages of a large school is that they can offer multiple streams. So for example, if we have a class of 30 grade 9s, let's say, we'll typically offer 2 sections of math. So 15 in one, 15 in the other. But it's difficult to start offering an AP stream and the regular stream when our numbers are lower. So the short answer is no, we don't offer specific, we don't offer IB curriculum at all. And we don't offer an AP course to prepare students for the AP exams. But that's not to say that students don't write the AP exams. They can. They sign up to do that typically in their grade 12 year if they have an interest or a passion in a certain curriculum area. We do have teachers that will work with them after hours if they have questions to help prepare them for the AP exam, but we do not offer a specific AP course above and beyond what the regular grade 12 curriculum is for that course.
Thank you.
Thank you. Michael had a question about our ranking within CASE. If we have any information about that. So CASE.
Yes. So CASE schools are not ranked, as far as I understand. There's no ranking system that does that. I remember when I worked in the public system, there was an organization that did rank the public schools, but that doesn't happen with independent schools. But we are part of CASE, and that's Canadian Accredited Independent Schools. Sorry, I had to think about the acronym there for a second. But what that means essentially is that we are accredited by this governing body. And the accreditation process, we're actually right in the middle of it. We've just prepared all the paperwork. The accrediting team is coming to Albert.College in less than 3 weeks. And it's an intensive 4-day analysis of our school. And in order to be able to call ourselves a CASE school, we have to pass accreditation. And so they look at everything. They look at our curriculum, they look at our physical plant, they look at our safety policies, they look at our HR policies, they look at our boarding house, they look at everything. There are actually 12 standards, and we have to pass all 12 of them in order to be an accredited school. So all of the schools that have the CASE, C-A-I-S label, you know that they do go through this rigorous process to be accredited. But inside that organization of CASE, there is no ranking based on test scores or anything like that.
Thank you. Lexia, this question is for you. What is the most difficult part of boarding life, or what was the hardest thing for you to get used to?
I think this is like probably one of the biggest. Not being with my family was definitely like a hard thing to get used to. But like I remember on my first day, like I was saying bye to my mom and everything, and I was feeling sad. But like one of the students gave me a hug, and that like really lifted me up. And I think without that hug, I would have probably spent the night crying. But she really she talked with me, and she said that like this was her first year boarding too, and like nothing to be like worried about, and that like everybody here like we're all away from our families, so we all like understand how like we feel about this. So like just talking to the students helped me get through that.
Thanks, Lexia. This is probably for Heather. Do boarding students have mandatory study times, and do we have any tutoring programs for boarders who need extra help or support?
Sure. So I think one of the greatest advantages of boarding is that we do offer a 2-hour supervised study hall within the residences. So students are in their rooms. We have residential staff that go around and offer support and assistance. We often have teachers that will come into the residence and again be able to offer, if you've got a chemistry test coming up, your chemistry teacher can certainly help you the night before. So from 7 till 9, from Monday to Thursday, we do that study. And so it's great because all of the students are in their rooms. It's quiet. There's nobody knocking on the door. The TV's not on. The front doorbell's not ringing. So everybody's doing the same thing. So it's quiet. Students are able to help their peers or work on projects, things like that. But yes, we find that that's very helpful, and it's often easier for res staff, to get the kids settled down and ready to do study than often it is with the parents. So they quite enjoy that time, and that's one of the things I think they take on to university is that time management that they learned while they were here with us in boarding. And then what was the second part? If there's tutoring programs. So yes, first of all, we recommend that you speak with your academic advisor. They're your link. They can help you. We have peer tutoring depending on what grade your child is in. And then we do have outside tutors that can be hired to come in. Obviously, first of all, we suggest you go speak with your teacher. Okay, we have extra help periods built right into our academic day during the week. So if students are struggling in a subject, or if they have an upcoming test and there's some things they don't understand, they can actually go for that advisor period and meet with that particular teacher to get extra help from them. So there are certainly lots of things in place to support our students.
Great, thank you. That same attendee had a question about just university guidance. So I think we've kind of spoken to that, but I'll ask if she has any additional questions to follow up a bit more. Just go ahead and put that in the chat. We had a question about scholarships. So if we could speak a little bit about our scholarship requirements. We mentioned that students require 85% in 3 consecutive terms. Do we ever average that out? For example, if a student had 84 in one term and higher than 85 in 2 other terms, would we average that out? And do we offer full scholarships? Thank you, Heather.
So I don't think we have it written. I don't think there's a specific percentage where it says in each term you have to have a certain percentage, but most students who apply have an 80, 85 plus average. They complete that scholarship rubric, and then again, it's sent to our financial aid committee. So as long as you're a student in good standing, you will continue to hold that scholarship until you graduate. Unfortunately, we don't offer full scholarships, but we do offer, as a small school, as I said, we offer quite a significant amount, sometimes up to 75% in some cases. So any other question? I hope I answered that.
Thank you, Heather. Do we have a deadline for the 2022-2023 year for enrollment deadline?
We don't have an actual deadline, but we work on a rolling admission process, which means as the applications come in, once the class is full, then we would start a wait pool. So right now is when you should be sending in your application as soon as possible if you are looking for this September.
Thank you. The last question to come in was just around athletics. If we could speak a little bit more about our athletic program, what schools do we compete against, and what athletics are offered regularly at Albert.College?
Okay, I can tackle that one. So the past 2 years, as you can imagine, has been a little bit different. Now, when in talking about next year, our expectation is it will be completely back to normal. So the sports have slowly started to come back, and we're seeing the teams playing. But next year, I think we'll be back completely to every team running. So we play against other independent schools in Ontario. So students will join a team, and they'll travel on a bus, or we'll host the teams here. There's a mandatory after-school athletics block where all students participate, and they're basically two streams. There's the competitive stream that you try out for the team, but for those people that may not want to be on the competitive team, there's also the more of a recreational after-school. They still experience the sport, but they're not on the team. So we offer sports in pretty much all of the areas you would think of when you think of high school sports. So Ben and Lexia, if I'm forgetting any, let me know, but we offer soccer, which most of the world calls football, we call soccer, basketball, volleyball, track and field, cross country. We have smaller teams that compete in golf. There's a smaller swimming team. I think the only high school sport that I could think of that is offered at other schools that we do not offer is American style football. We don't have an American football team, but pretty much the rest of them we do offer. Ben, Lexia, have I forgotten any major ones?
Nothing except for lacrosse, but yeah, that's it.
Lacrosse, field hockey. Yeah, there are others as well.
Ultimate Frisbee.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Mr. Muska. That's all the questions I had. I just wanted to add in on the slides that we presented, the Canadian fee was for Canadian borders. So if you are a Canadian day student, it's significantly less, just in case anyone's on this call local. I didn't want you to think that was the amount we'd charge you for day school. So please reference our website for detailed costs on there. But that's all the questions that we had come in the chat.
Okay, well, thank you, everybody. And thank you to our panelists. We really appreciate you taking the time and sharing your personal stories with us. Again, Mr. Muska and I can talk about the school every day, all day, but it really is, I feel, important to hear personal stories from our kids and from our parents. So again, thank you so much to our panelists. David, thank you for joining us to be our translator for Spanish, although we didn't have to use you, but thank you for offering to help us with this morning. So again, this is a recorded session. We will be posting it on our website. So if there's anybody who you know who is interested in Albert who maybe didn't or wasn't able to join us today, they will be able to access that as well. So again, thank you, Mr. Muska. Thank you, everybody. And hopefully we may see some of you here at Albert in September. So thank you.